In a world filled with tension, the headlines often read like a script for a global catastrophe. We see nations forming new alliances. We hear talk of advanced weaponry. We hear talk of cyber warfare. The global economy feels fragile. The threat of conflict seems to loom larger with each passing day. It is only natural that people search for answers, for some way to make sense of the chaos. For centuries, many have turned to an ancient text, the Book of Revelation. Its pages are filled with vivid images of war, plague, famine, and cosmic upheaval. Is the Book of Revelation a prophetic roadmap for a coming World War III? Tonight, we will explore this question with care, not making predictions, but approaching as journalists and historians to understand the text and why it resonates now. Before we can discuss predictions of a future war, we must first understand the book itself. What is the Book of Revelation? It is the final book of the New Testament. Its style is dramatically different from other New Testament writings. The text names its author, John, exiled to the Greek island of Patmos. Most scholars date it to about 95 to 96 AD under Emperor Domitian. Early Christians were marginalized and persecuted in the Roman Empire. Revelation belongs to a genre called apocalyptic, an unveiling, common in Jewish and early Christian writings. Using vivid symbols and elaborate visions, it offered hope that God remained in control and would bring justice. John describes 7 seals, 7 trumpets, and 7 bowls, each unleashing judgment. Woven through are strange beasts, a great battle, and the promise of a new heaven and new earth. It draws heavily on Daniel, Ezekiel, and Isaiah. Dense symbolism has led to many interpretations. 4 main approaches: historicist, preterist, idealist, and futurist, the last most relevant to our question. Why some see a roadmap to war? The idea that Revelation predicts a modern world war comes largely from the futurist interpretation. Proponents read it as a literal chronological timeline of future events. Then war, power, and catastrophe imagery seem to align with modern anxieties. Breaking news becomes potential fulfillment of a 2,000-year-old prophecy. Revelation 13, a beast rising from the sea. Immense political and military power over every tribe, people, language, and nation. Futurists see a charismatic antichrist heading a revived Roman Empire or a one-world government, aided by a deceptive false prophet. Through persuasive signs and wonders, many are misled. The 6th trumpet speaks of an army of 200 million. Armageddon is read as a literal Middle Eastern battlefield at Megiddo. Rising tensions, buildups, and alliances are watched as stage-setting signs. Futurists equate the seals and trumpets with global war consequences. Burned lands, seas turned red, darkened skies, plausible in a nuclear, chemical, and collapsing ecology era. Perhaps no image from Revelation is more famous than the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. They appear as the first 4 seals of a divine scroll are broken. Powerful symbols that many feel ride into our modern world. The first rides a white horse, given a crown, conquering. Often read as conquest or a deceptive global leader, the spark of expansion. A political military trigger that sets others in motion. The second, on a fiery red horse, takes peace from the earth. Civil war and international war. In a nuclear age, worldwide loss of peace feels chillingly possible. The third, on a black horse with scales. Ruinous prices for wheat and barley. Famine and economic collapse. Supply chains break, fields fail, food becomes a weapon, and hyperinflation bites. Finally, the pale horse. Death, with Hades following. Sword, famine, pestilence, and the chaos of collapse. A grim portrait of mass death, the very outcome feared in a global war. What scholars believe. While compelling, the futurist reading is only one approach. Most scholars urge caution, grounding meaning in the first century audience, persecuted Christians of Asia Minor under Rome. Revelation reads as resistance literature to comfort and embolden a community in crisis. The beast symbolizes the Roman Empire, its leader the emperor, possibly Nero, likely Domitian, demanding worship. The mark likely points to imperial seals and coinage intertwined with commerce. Violent imagery depicts God's judgment on an oppressive regime. Babylon is code for Rome's idolatrous power. Not predictions of modern weapons, but stylized language of justice. Many agree it speaks to divine justice, the corrupting influence of power, and the triumph of good. Scholars caution against matching every symbol to a headline, leader, or nation. Such reduction flattens the book's theological depth into a mere cryptogram. The dangers of reading scripture as a newsfeed. This approach can fuel fear and poor decision-making. Believing catastrophe is inevitable can breed fatalism and discourage diplomacy and peace-building. It can sap will to tackle complex problems like climate change or poverty. History is littered with failed identifications of Antichrist and the mark, from popes to barcodes and microchips. Fear can be exploited for power, influence, or profit. It can demonize nations, religions, or political groups, stifling critical thought and fueling division. Speculation can distract from Revelation's call to endurance, faith, and moral courage. The focus shifts from how to live faithfully now to when disasters will happen. A book meant to comfort the persecuted can be twisted into a source of distress, contrary to its hope. Be vigilant against interpretations that profit from panic or promote agendas. Does the book of Revelation predict World War III? There is no simple yes or no. Futurists see startling parallels: global conflict, tyrannical leaders, economic collapse, and pestilence. A divine warning and play-by-play. Most scholars read it first in its own time. Hope for a persecuted church under Rome. Beasts, battles, and plagues as symbols of judgment against oppression, not a nuclear blueprint. Reading it as a roadmap can foster fear, fatalism, and division. A wiser approach sees Revelation as a mirror. It reflects human cruelty, greed, lust for power, empire, idolatry, and injustice. Our response should be wisdom, diplomacy, and shared humanity, not headline matching. Perhaps its greatest power is challenging us to create a better future. Thank you for watching. If this helped, please like and subscribe for more in-depth analyses. Your support helps us continue this work.